Assalamu alaikum and good evening everyone to 12th episode of online discussion organized by Other Health Bangladesh. Tonight we will discuss on data recording, which is core requirement to improve animal productivity and services. Actually, dairy farm record is a document or file that used to keep accounts of different activities, events, and materials regarding farm operations. While data from recording is documenting or writing those activities on a recording materials or like animation, like computer. So data recording is very necessary elements of good dairy farm management and business. So it is kept for assisting in financial planning decision, providing data for government administrative and extension purposes, assisting in livestock management decision, evaluating overall activities of dairy farm. So the common types of recording in dairy farms are the record of identification of cow, the financial records, the production records, the health records, records of agricultural inputs, the records of animal feeds, dairy farm records, the records of farm implements and equipments, workers, and vehicle records. So when we are taking any decision in dairy farms, the decision making can be influenced by the analyzing both production and financial records, and its have impact on the its productivity. So the first official recognition of recording system is we see in Denmark when the milk recording organization is formed. But in our country, we are still lag behind to use data recording system and analyzing the data. That's why tonight we are inviting Professor Dr. Abdul Samad sir to discuss about the data recording and its importance. So, Professor Dr. Samad sir already taken some online classes on behalf of Other Health Bangladesh. He is a renowned heart health and veterinary expert with 37 years of experience. He's also the former dean of Bombay Veterinary College. He is credited internationally for his extension work on ICT application for veterinary service delivery. Professor Dr. Samad currently is a member of Indian National Advisory Commission on Milk Production and Farmers Issues established by the Indian Dairy Association. He is also member of the Research Advisory Council of National Innovation Foundation under Government of India. We are lucky that we have some expert from Bangladesh side as a panelist. At first, I would like to introduce Dr. MD Farhat Hussain. He is renowned dairy practitioner in Bangladesh. He has great contribution in development of dairy sector in Bangladesh, especially in Chattogram region. Currently, he is working as director of Livestock Research Institute, Mohakali, Dhaka. We have also a special guest, Dr. MD Shofikur Rahman. He is ex-buyer officer of Central Cattle Breeding Station and Dairy Farm Sabar. He is also consultant of American Dairy Farm. Recently, he is appointed as assistant director of Government Poultry Farm, Joshua. And we have another special guest, MD Malik Mohammed Omar, the managing director, Homeland Dairy Farm. He has been engaged with dairy farming more than 20 years and has experience with dairy farm operations. And Professor Dr. Mizar Rahman, coordinator of Other Health Bangladesh, will be also with us tonight. So at this moment, I would like to welcome Professor Dr. Samad sir to present his presentation. Professor Dr. Samad sir.
Thank you, Dr. Dilaver. Warm welcome to all the panelists. Assalamu alaikum, and good evening from India. So I'm based in Mumbai. Mumbai is getting slightly cold, which is like which is unusual for Mumbai, because most of the time the ambient temperature is very uniform. So I'll share my slide now. I hope you are able to see my presentation.
Yes, sir. We
Dilover?
are. Yes, sir. We are.
Okay. Um, this is my lecture plan. Uh, I'll touch upon importance of data in livestock sector. Then we'll talk about what exactly we mean by quality data. What are its requirements? Um, what are the different systems of animal identification and traceability? And what are the advantages and disadvantages or benefits and limitations? Then we'll talk of what are the technological options available for smallhold. Because unlike Western countries where they have very large farms, they can afford to have computer room, data room, and computer operators, all kinds of technological gadgets they are able to have. What are the options before countries like us where farmers are resource poor, they have very few animals, probably they may not have even room for keeping a notebook safely. Then I'll talk about livestock data network. This is what I have been working on. A solution which I think is good for smallhold production system. Then we'll talk about how to collect data from field, features on an efficient app, and data to improve veterinary and extension services, how it can be used. Then we'll briefly talk about marrying electronics and data, because electronic veterinary electronic is also coming up as a advanced science, applied science, applied engineering science, and how can we use these advances in electronics in improving the management as well as services. And then finally, I'll talk about whatever I have spoken. Are we daydreaming or is it a reality? Can it be done for small code? So those are some of the issues which I will be handling during next 1 hour or so. Now this is a slide which should convince you. Of course, this is an old slide. It still holds good. I tried to get anything similar which has got more data, recent data, but I could not find. So this particular slide shows that countries who started data recording in 1950s, how they have increased their productivity every 5 years. So you can see, once you start data recording, the productivity increases, very linearly. Now the reason is, once you have data recording with you, then you are not working in a black box. Then you have all real data available to you for planning, for understanding what are the issues, what are the problems, and whether the activities and the interventions you have implemented, is it making any difference? And unfortunately, you can find that including India, data recording system has been neglected. And that is one of the reasons why we find that, uh, at least in India, I have got the data available, which shows that the animal productivity, I'm talking of per animal productivity at the national level, is more or less static. The calving interval is more or less static. There is no improvement fertility. I have analyzed data of livestock census data from 1997 to 2019. That is the recent livestock census which has taken place, and I find that the fecundity rates in terms of number of animals pregnant, a number of animals giving milk as percentage of proportion of cow, number of animals that are dry, and number of animals that have not calved even after 5 years of age. That data is collected in the census. Like I have analyzed that data, and I find that right from 1997 up to 2019, instead of having improvement, there is deterioration. These fecundity rates have gone down. And remember, this is the data I'm citing from census and not survey, where every household is reached by the sensor operators, and data is collected from them within a very narrow span of time. So census data has got quite a good credibility. This is another slide which also tells you that the number of animals under recording and the average milk yield at the national level is directly correlated. As you can see, countries that have very high data recording, very high number of animals that are recorded, they have very high yield. So these two slides will tell you that data recording is the core requirement for any improvement. This is another slide which I am trying to tell you is that when you increase animal productivity, the number of heads of cattle decrease, and therefore the number of mouth the farmers has to feed will also decrease. So the whole strategy, the country's strategy, should be not to increase the number of cows or number of animals, but to keep number of animals constant, or bring down the numbers but increase per animal productivity, so that whatever is the product requirement, that is met. So that is where the farmers profitability come, and this has been found to be directly correlated with per animal productivity, and per animal productivity is directly correlated with the number of animals that are under recording. So it's a core requirement, but it is not a requirement by itself. So I'm not trying to tell you that once you have data recording, then everything will be fine and the animal productivity will increase. No, it will only assist you in correct planning, in correct decision making, evidence-based decision making. Then what is the quality data? And sometimes I do tell people that having wrong data or fudge data is worse than having no data. I will be very happy if there is no data, but if I have fudged and wrong data, fabricated data, then probably all my planning is going to be wrong, is going to be go haywire. And therefore, if you would like to implement data recording system, quality of data is very important. Now, a good quality data is one which is captured at the animal site. Then you avoid errors of writing down on a piece of paper, and then again coming back to the head office and entering into computer if you want to digitize, or converting it in the form of registers. Then there are a lot of transcription errors. There are published reports which say that the transcription error from one document to another document could be as high as 30%. So therefore, a good quality data is one which will be generated and captured at the animal site. Another good quality of the data is that it should be amenable to analysis immediately. Now that is the problem with the manual data recording system which we have been following, where we keep the data in the registers, and then from the register it is very difficult to analyze the data. And if you analyze the data after 6 months or 1 year, then you don't learn from data, because already whatever damage has taken place is over. It might only help you for future planning. But a good data is one which will give you experience of improvising immediately. I mean, it has got both benefits which is short term and the benefits which are long term, because then you are analyzing to have long term planning. Another quality is that it should be updated in real time. So not only it should be captured, but it should also be updated. So I mean, when an AI technician goes, then the AI data should be captured at the time of giving AI immediately, and then from there it should be updated to the server. I'm talking of now digitized data recording, because we are into a digital world. There are computers available everywhere, and therefore keeping data in register in manual form has become redundant everywhere. And there are people who, if they don't use any other system, at least they use Excel sheets to keep the data. So I'm talking mostly on digital data and not the manual data. So it should be real time, and it should be updated either onto the desktop or onto the or onto the app, whatever is the repository of the data, it should be updated immediately. Then the data should be collected and analyzed in real time, because I would like to understand what exactly is the problem. For example, if I'm in a poultry farm and if I have taken weight of the poultry birds, and if I enter the data should be analyzed immediately to tell me what is the FCR. And if I know what are the flocks which are lagging behind in FCR, which are the flocks which are having ideal FCR, then I can take a decision. Then the utility of the data becomes real. Then another requirement is data sharing. The data should be available to all the stakeholders. There is no point keeping data in register, which is in the lock and key of the manager, and nobody has access to it. So then it becomes only data, which is for purpose of formality of keeping data. So it should be available to all the all the stakeholders in real time. So whenever they want, for example, if an AI technician goes, the data of that particular cow to whom he is going to give AI should be available to him, as to how many inseminations has been given, what was the last sire which was used, how was the last calving. So all that data, whether it is in production, has it passed the peak yield, what is the peak yield. So all this data should be available to AI technician so that he makes a informed decision. Then data should be amenable to processing in real time. Here I mean processing on the herd basis. So for example, if I'm in a government environment, then the village or the upazilla or the zillas data, I should be able to process in real time to understand how things are happening. What is the impact of the interventions which has been implemented from the government schemes. It should not be vulnerable to post recording changes. I know there are sometimes people want to change because they want to change the data because they find that the outcome of the data is not suitable to what they want. And this I have faced even with very great national organizations in India, where they implemented the data recording system, and after some time they came back to me and asking me, sir, can we change the milk records after 30 days or 45 days? I said, no, why you want to change? I said, because we have to distribute milk, and those that milk, we cannot charge that milk to the people we are distributing, and then all the data is coming in real time, so it's very difficult. So these kind of things should be prevented once you have data recording system. So we said no, it cannot be done. It can be done only within 24 hours by the person who has entered the data. But after 24 hours, if you want to change, it has to be changed with the permission of administrator, and there is a logbook, and in the logbook all the changes which have taken place can be can be retrieved. The data should be lifetime, and it should be archivable. Suppose if an animal dies, then I should be able to archive that data. And while processing, if I would like to even include those animals which have died, which have been culled, which have been slaughtered, to be included in data analysis, I should be able to do that. And the last point is data should not be in silo. Because dairy or livestock activity is a group activity, and farmers tend to learn a lot from experience of each other. Therefore, data sharing, at least on the village basis, on the district basis, is important, because there are areas where I am implementing such programs. We do have a system where we give a ranking of a cow in a village or in a block, which is equivalent to your upzilla. And then we throw that this is the cow which is in this upzilla. This has given so much of milk, and this is how is the fertility parameters. So that give impetus to others that okay, a farmer in our neighborhood has been able to achieve this rank, so why not we. So such so the data, and this is only possible because data is not in silo. But you go to many countries in Europe as well as in USA, their data is in silo. They are all sitting on their data and nobody knows. I mean, the other person, other farmers do not learn from it. Even the companies like feed companies and pharmaceutical companies also don't have access to that data. So these are the good qualities of the data, and therefore, whenever a country is planning or whenever somebody is planning to implement a data recording system, he should pick up a system which will satisfy, the quality requirement of the data. Now we come to animal identification and traceability, because if you want to, if you want to keep the data, giving unique number to animal is important. It is more than giving name to a person, because there could be, with one name there could be, many persons, and that is why many countries have come up with social insurance number, which is a unique number given to a person through which it is identified in the server. On the same analogy, you also have to give a unique identification number to each animal, and that identification number is, it dies, with that animal. So that particular unique ID is not repeated any time, and that is the function of the National Animal Identification Authority. So if you would like to come into regime of animal data recording, animal identification, then the first requirement is that you should have an animal identification authority or animal data recording authority, which should be allocating unique number in the country which is not repeated. Otherwise, it will all mess up. So that is the first requirement of animal identification. The second requirement is choosing a device for of animal identification. There are large number of devices that are available in the market. I have depicted, some of these here. This is the, RFID, which can be inserted. This RFID insert is in the skin, so it comes in injectable form in the syringe. So you deposit this RFID under the skin, and then to read such RFIDs, you require RFID reader. Now, the disadvantage of this insert is that, when you are inserting under the skin, there is a lot of loose space, and therefore these RFIDs tend to get displaced. So then, you have to really look around and find out, where exactly is the RFID to read. The second problem is these are quite expensive. Another problem is to read them, you require an RFID reader, which is still expensive. So, for example, this RFID stick is available in India for around 35,000 rupees. So, which would be around, say, 35, around 40,000 rupees in a Bangladesh currency. So, every farmer will not be able to afford this. Another problem is when I am reading this RFID, what I get here is the ID number, and this doesn't tell me anything, because ID number I can read even on the tag, which in any case you will have to apply to the animal. So therefore, RFID doesn't work, is not of much benefit. I'm not against the technology. This works extremely well when you want to have gate management, where there is mechanization. So if there is no mechanization in the farm, and if there is no gate management like parlor management, then the RFID is not of much benefit. It becomes quite expensive. So in general, RFID which is inserted in the skin is problematic, because then when you are reading, the RFID reader has to be quite strong, so that it should be able to catch the signal. And I mean, the RFID, how the RFID reads is, when you give a signal, that signal is again thrown back, because these are all passive RFID. So these are not having any activity. So these will catch the signals, send back the signal which is caught by the RFID, and then you can read. And therefore, because of the thickness of the skin, thickness of the muscles, and the presence of fluid in subcutaneous tissue, the readability of insert is quite less compared to readability of RFID for external, ear tags, where you can have a chip on it. Now, this is the gate management. I have tried to describe, where you have a static RFID reader, and this is the animal which is either carrying an RFID insert, or there is an RFID which is attached to the ear tag. So whenever it is going near the RFID reader, it will send the signal to the RFID device, catch the signal to identify the identification number, and send it over to the server, from where the user will be able to see. So this is an elaborate exercise, which you'll have to do, which I think is not really feasible for a small hold production system if there is no mechanization. The second is machine readable tags. So this I will be able to describe in my next slide. Then RFID tags. So instead of an insert, you have an RFID chip, which I will be describing you in the next slide. Then there are also RFID transponders. These RFID transponders are long-range RFID readers. So these are all active, RFID devices which will have battery. Batteries have shelf life, and these are generally used for identifying animals. Say, for example, in the milk parlor, or if you have got a feeding station where you are dispensing concentrate feed. So those are the areas, or the water dispensers. So those are the areas where transponders will be needed. Okay. These are the plastic tags which are very common across the countries. If you go through the recommendation of the International Committee on Animal Records, their recommendation is that as far as possible avoid RFID insert. Okay, because of the difficulties which I had described. uh, so mostly they recommend what is called as one way, two way, or three way ear tags. Now one way ear tag is where you have only printed number. Okay, the two way ear tag is where you have a printed number, and along with that you have a machine readable code. Now, this machine readable code can be read by the barcode reader. So for this, you require a barcode reader, and that barcode reader should be able to read this, and then and then give you the number. But again, the problem here is if I have only if I have only this barcode, and if I read it through a barcode reader, what I see is this number which I am able to see. So it doesn't add to anything unless and until I have a system where I read this barcode, and after reading I am able to open the file of this particular animal. There then I don't have to then enter the 13 or 15 digit number, which is the unique number in the country. Then there are new tags, and this is one of my innovation, which we have got it patented here in India and for other countries, where instead of having a barcode, we have converted this barcode into a cryptic QR code. Now this cryptic QR code cannot be emulated, it cannot be copied. So somebody cannot sit and create this, because there is a encryption here. And if you create an RF, and if you create a QR code using this particular 13 digit number, you will not be able to read, because the encrypted number is something else which nobody knows. So here the advantage is that since I have got a QR code here, I can read this QR code through QR code scanner inbuilt in my app, and then after scanning I am able to open the file of this animal. That is the advantage. So I don't have to use any extra linear barcode number. All I need to is scan it, and then the advantages of such scans I will be explaining to in my next slide. The second is, and I have said, then an RFID reader. Now the RFID readers that are available are low frequency RFID readers. Those are passive RFID reader, and passive RFID readers require a separate reader, which is very expensive. What we have done, we have developed a technology where instead of using a low frequency RFID, we use high frequency microchip, which is embedded in the ear tag. Now this particular high frequency RFID chip can be read by your cell phone, and it's called as near field communication, NFC communication. So all I need to do is open my NFC communication, touch this RFID tag, and the file of this animal will get open to update. So that is the advantage. Again, here you don't require any sophisticated RFID reader. So these are some of the innovations which we are trying to popularize here in the country. As I have said, the tag should be such that I should be able to scan the tag to get connected to animal's file. Then my tag also becomes the data carrier, and the animal also becomes a data carrier by itself. So the advantage is, whenever I tag, whenever I scan this particular animal, let's say I'm scanning this at check post. When I scan, I get complete data of that animal, saying that whether it is vaccinated, non-vaccinated, who is the owner, whether it has been sold, where it is going, all that data is available. Suppose it is caught on the street as a stray cattle. I scan, find out who is the owner. I can send him a message that your cattle has been caught and it is there in the pond. You pay the fees and you can take over. An AI technician goes, he scans, opens the file, enter the data of AI. You are very sure the data is coming from animal side, because unless the AI technician is going on the animal side and scanning the code, he is not able to upload. So all your milk recorders, all your extension workers, every service provider who is going to the animal for giving service and updating data has to scan the code. So you are very sure that the data is coming from data is coming from the animal side, and it is not a fictitious data which has been cooked up at home. Scanning, because it is a square QR code, scanning is extremely easy. It takes it takes just 5 seconds. Even if animal is not very static, you can still scan, and then you can upload the data. The data gets thrown onto the server, and from server, whatever logistics you have maintained. For example, here I'm talking about a stray cattle which had been caught, scanned by the officer. The data goes to the server. From server, immediately SMS goes to the owner that your this number animal has been caught on the street and it is in such and such pond. You pay the fee, pay the fine, and you can take your animal. So such kind of all kinds of activities then can be devised. This is the model which I have been following, because I am a very strong believer that for sustainability, unless and until you have a system where your activity also generates funds, then only it becomes sustainable. If it is, say, fund dependent, government aid dependent, then it runs till you have a scheme, it runs till you have money, and then it stops. So therefore, you got to have a model where you should be able to also use data for the benefit of the farmers, so that you also get some revenue generated from it to sustain the activity. And therefore, I'm a very I mean strong proponent of data recording system, which is to be led by the private players rather than by the government, because the government has got their own problems, and nowhere in the world the government is involved in capturing data and data recording, data analysis, and other things. What governments are interested is only data which is required for regulatory functions. For example, disease data, outbreak data, some kind of productivity data. So only that much of data is picked up from different resources which have been licensed to market the softwares, and then a data grid is maintained by the national government, and that data grid is utilized for purpose of planning. So this is the model which I am working here. Of course, this is independent of the government, because here, like any other government, even government of India also thinks, state governments think that when it comes to livestock, they want to do everything. Nobody should do anything. The, everything will be done by government, and then it all fails. Because NDDB started some 4 5 years back. A data recording system called Enough, which is a big failure, because nobody is updating data. It has boiled down to only tagging the animal and registering the animal. Afterwards, there is no follow up. There is no data. Data is getting updated. So if you have got a system where you give data on a very minimized, subsidized rate to the farmers. Now, in India, most of the places where I'm having data recording system, farmers have not paid anything. It is either paid by the milk processors, or paid by the milk breeding companies, or paid by the feed companies and other stakeholders, because they are interested in that data. And insurance companies has also now come forward to start paying. So altogether they subsidize highly the data recording system. The private and the vets don't have to pay anything, because they are the one who are participating and sharing the data. So I am proponent that, on the contrary, the private and the vet should be able to get part of the revenue which is generated from data recording platform to be paid to private and vet for participating, as well as farmers to be compensated for sharing that data in terms of some kind. For example, we have got a scheme where if a farmer is able to give data of complete lactation and a parity, then in the next parity he gets compensation of 50% for say an imported semen or sex semen. So some kind of incentive is to be paid to the farmers, and then the data is to be data can be shared by all these stakeholders, and some of them pay for it, and that's how the revenue model survives. So this is something which I think even Bangladesh should think about, that to come up with a model which revenue wise is self-sustaining, because developing developing a software, developing an app is extremely easy, but servicing and maintaining is very difficult, because you got to have a whole infrastructure to support, provide support in real time, because many times we get a call from someone who says, I'm in a village, I'm not able to access this ironing. So the team should be able to immediately assess to him that, okay, the problem is, you do this, and your sire is not there. So sire is registered, and now you can have this sire which is to be updated. So this, unless and until you have an infrastructure to support all these kind of services, it's very difficult to maintain the database. You can have inaugurated a database, you can inaugurate a program that we have started a data recording system. It works only for a few months and then stops automatically. This is a model which can be used for improving veterinary services. So basically the model is same, where you have the e-case papers or e-records. I don't say case record, because when I say veterinary services here, it's not only sickness treatment, it is also health and productivity services. So we keep an e-record of all the animals with unique ID number, so that the paravets and the vets who are involved in veterinary services will be able to get access. And whenever there is a data which comes up which is of public health importance, for example, if if there is a data which has come up for foot and mouth disease in a village, then the system will automatically generate an SMS messages to all the farmers in the village saying that there is a case of FMD which has been recorded. So be cautious, don't take your animals out, strengthen your biosecurity. So those kind of alerts and can be given. So the ICT then works in conjugation with the farmers, the paravets, and the vets, and the other all the stakeholders. So what is the most feasible solution for the developing countries? Now the if you go through the services definition, data recording is a private good, because the data is going to generate revenue. It's required for business purpose, and business is generating revenue. Therefore, it is classified as private goods, and therefore has to be in private hand. Disease outbreak data is public goods, and therefore the public authorities and the government should be able to support. And for that matter, many countries have come up with animal identification devices as a public good. So they give free ear tags to all the farmers for tagging purpose, and there is a requirement that within a particular time period a newborn calf has to be tagged and registered. If it is not registered and tagged, nobody will purchase milk from such a cow. Nobody will even allow this animal to be transported in the truck. So it becomes then mandatory for the farmers to register the animal, and and therefore there is also participation from the government side. Individual animals data ownership is of the farmer. These are some of the very critical issues which you need to understand, because I know there are some public authorities also sitting in the panel, as well as they must be listening to my lecture. So there are veterinary officers and senior vets from the livestock department, so they are also there. So for their benefit, I'm narrating all this, because these are all very critical issues which becomes legal issues in future. For example, who owns the data? Suppose I have got the data recording system. Who owns the data? So basically the primary ownership of the data is that of the farmer who owns the animal. Then The companies that are supporting data recording are the one who are custodian of aggregated data, so they can make use of the data because they have uh, paid for the services. But if a farmer demands that my data is not to be shared with anyone, then the companies cannot share. Okay, so the ownership of the data is with the farmer. Government should encourage, private companies to develop and implement. Because in a country like India, there cannot be one company, which would be able to cater to all the entire country. For Bangladesh, there cannot be one company, which will be taking care of it. And if you have more than one, there is also competition. And therefore, the government should encourage a number of private players to come for data recording system, and then make it a revenue neutral model so that they earn revenue, but they don't charge to the farmers. But then the duty of the government is to sit and decide what data is to be collected and what data government wants, and have a regulatory function so that the farmers are not taken on ride by the companies. So these are actually the regulatory functions in terms of the data recording system, which is being followed in many countries. In fact, in some countries, it is being done by the cooperatives. It's a federated cooperatives of all the farmers, which will collect data, have the herd book, and then they also charge the farmers. But there are lots of services that are being provided by having the data. So therefore, the government's role here should be more like a regulatory authority, which will facilitate data recording from private players, but would also have a requirement that the data which is required for the government, such as disease treatment, antibiotics, and all those kind of data which is required, they should be able to have access. So they could have a national animal data grid, and they should make it mandatory to all these service providers, who have come up with different kinds of platforms, to make sure that their database is amenable of exporting data that is required for the national government. So if that kind of scheme is evolved, for developing countries, then probably the government will not have to spend a lot of money on data recording, and the data recording will become sustainable and a business model, for the private players. Then I come to the next question as to what kind of data recording system the countries should have. I'm talking I'm talking at the macro level. I'm talking at the country level or the provincial level, because because most of the vets who are listening to me would be somewhere part of this decision making. So they should be aware that these are some of the some of the technologies that are already been tried, and that is what even Bangladesh should also look for. So one of the requirement should be that we should the country should have one database. Okay, and in that one, in that single database, data of each animal is there, and no matter who is the service provider and who is the agency. For example, Semen Bank. If Semen Bank is there, Semen Bank database of all these straws produced by that particular company, its end use with the cow should be able to go directly into the database of that cow. And then from that database, the semen companies should be able to also extract where the end use of each straw which they have produced. They should be able to run with financing, with financial support projects such as progeny testing and genomic testing by extracting data from the database. Then second thing is even all liquid nitrogen. We have got a setup here in one of the big companies here in south of India, where all their liquid nitrogen cylinders of all the containers of all their AI technician has been given unique ID number, and now we can track all the liquid nitrogen containers for their labels. When they have filled liquid nitrogen, how much they have used, what is the evaporation rate. When they need to fill in, we also give them alert to go and fill in, and then the entire data comes on the cloud. Then you should have a database where you should be able to maintain database of each species of animal also. For example, you need to have a separate data for cattle, separate data for cattle and buffalo. If it is buffalo is also there, separate data for sheep and goat for meat purpose, separate database for sheep and goat for milk purpose, separate database for poultry. So So in short, what I'm trying to convince is that you need a very pan country outlook for data recording, which has to be facilitated by different private players, and this will end up with a national or provincial data grid if there are provinces where the data is collected for all the members. And with the technology that is available right now, all these things are not difficult. I'm managing database of 1 million animal for one company, which is spread over 6 states, and the data is coming into one common platform. So these are the technologies that are already there, which can be used. This is again Cement Bank, where we have ventured into different state government. They've gotten 5 or 6 cement banks. So all these 5 and 6 cement banks should be networked together, so that you have a SIRE, you have a SIRE directory, you have all SIRE information that is available to all the stakeholders. For example, if a farmer wants to know the the details about a SIRE, all he needs to do is send an SMS of the SIRE number to a particular mobile number, and he gets an SMS saying that this is the history of this particular sire. If a AI technician is going there and selecting a sire for AI, for doing AI, he should be immediately able to know what is the fertility rate of this particular sire in that area, and how much it has been used, what is the first insemination conception rate. So all these things, if it is available to AI technicians and veterinary officers, they will be able to take an informed decision. That is the advantage of digitalization and data recording, that you go away from ad hoc decision making to informed decision making, and then not only informed decision making but also impact analysis to understand whether whatever you are doing is really working or not working. I'll not go into detail of this, but only mention that these are some of the requirements of the app. If you're looking for an app, you should look for an app which should be able to register animals online on the animal side. You don't have to require again writing on paper, so you should be able to do that. Then secondly, data update should it should be, if possible, it should be a scanner of the code as well as update of the data. So entire herd health management data management should be possible from the app. You should be able to generate action list for the farmers, generate action list, daily action list for the paravets, as well as daily action list for the vets. It should give alarm list based on the threshold, and these threshold and action list should be able to decide based on species as well as breed, because there are lots of breed differences. A particular breed of cow may not be able to give you more than 1000 liters of milk in first 100 days, whereas other high genetic cow will be able to give, say HF cow will be able to give 1500. So you can't have one threshold. So different thresholds should be able to decide for different breed and different species of animal. And then if you are working in a cooperative environment, and if a milk processing company is involved, they would also like to have a loyalty program for the farmers to know whether a particular farmer is milk poorer, non-poorer, should he be given a subsidized rate of services or should he not be given. And then BCS image analysis, feed formulation, feed balancing. So all those things merged together will make a good ideal app. This is the app which we have been using in our systems. I'll not go into details of that. This is the desktop version of the software you should look for, where the senior managers should be able to analyze the data, should be able to see the data of individual animal on a single screen, should be able to generate lactation curve. On the lactation curve itself, you should have all the lactational events. For example, when did the first heat happen? When did the AI happen? When pregnancy was diagnosed? When treatment was given? What treatment was given? What was the diagnosis? So everything you should be able to see in a single window on a lactation curve, so that you will be able to understand how this lactation curve is fluctuating and what are the events that are responsible for it. Another thing which you look for now, and which has become extremely I think essential these days because of this COVID-like situation, as well as we don't know what is going to happen next now. But this has been a real requirement for veterinary, because we have very few vets available, and these availables those vets available are either in Upazila or district. I don't know the situation of Bangladesh, but I do understand that the number of vets that are practicing in large animal are extremely less, and they cannot go to remote villages every time. There may be 50 cases in remote villages. How can this poor chap go to every village for examination? Therefore, and then you have got a situation where you don't want AI technicians because they are not really well equipped, they are not well educated to practice medicine. So where does the farmer stand then? Farmer needs services. So therefore, one of the option there is televeterinary. I know telemetry cannot be 100% answer to all the questions, but at least 50-60% cases, which will be, which the vet will be able to diagnose. I know large number of people telephone me saying that we have got a cow which is having this symptom, this symptom, this symptom. Sometimes they send me on WhatsApp a video saying that this is my cow. Can you please tell me what I should do? And number of times I am able to diagnose and tell them what exactly is the problem, and and what kind of treatment is to be given. So what we have done is developed a telemetry module where we send not only the images of the animal and the videography of the animal, but it also goes along with all the historic file, so that the referral vet will be able to get the history of that particular animal, all the milk record, breeding record, health record, vaccination record, along with the current event, and then he will be able to send a digital, prescription, which can be honored, by the pharmacist, and the private sitting over there would be able to, administer. Because as far as administration is concerned, I don't think there could be an issue, because there are some people who ask me, how can the AI technician will give injection? I said, why not? If you teach them, they should be able to give. Don't you take insulin injection yourself? Do you have a medical degree? So you have to make a compromise that based on digital prescription, somebody should be trained to give injections or administer older drugs. So this will solve some of the problems. And then the other issue is when you are doing telemetry, then the problem is there are also certain physical examinations, and that data is required. For example, temperature, heart rate, pulse rate, lung sounds, heart sounds. Sometimes even you would like to have blood smear examination, your vaginal discharge examination. So those kind of examination data is also required. So when we come to the electronic part of my discussion, that time I'll tell you how you can marry all these electronics into telemetry system to make it more forceful of at least 70 to 75% of the problems. The team of the vets sitting at the district or sub-district level would be able to give advice to large number of farmers. This is another requirement which you should insist on, which we call it dashboard. Now this dashboard is actually the real tracker of the services. So I told you there are companies who are working into four states, 5 states. So sitting at one place, they're able to see who is working, what time he has started work, where he has gone, how many farms he has visited, how many animals he has treated, how many AI he has been done. So all this comes in real time on the dashboard. So one person sitting at the dashboard will be able to monitor the entire states or the entire country's veterinary services. It's so powerful, simply because you are required to scan. Once you scan the code of the animal, the data is imprinted, and that imprinted data goes to the cloud server and comes on the dashboard that this particular person on this date, this time, has visited this animal. Second, he has visited this animal. Third, he has visited this animal. So entire tracking of the services becomes possible. Then you can generate maps. Then it becomes so easy. Once you have data, you can play around. There are lots of these Google Maps capabilities are available. So I'm just showing you one here, which is which is telling you where the HF animals are. So it gives me a map of these are the areas where there are HF animals for that company, which is registered in the database. Now here you can again refocus, go up to single Upazila or even village, and there you'll be able to see these are the dots, these are the areas where there are HF. If I would like to find out how many where pregnant animals are there in my state, so I just select pregnant animals more than say 200 days, and it will give you a map of all those animals. Where are the milking animals? Where are the vaccinated animals? Where are the unvaccinated animals? Then it becomes extremely easy for you to locate those animals and go to individual animal count. I would like to know in 500-kilometer area how many animals are there, how many cows are there. I can generate a report with their mobile number, and I can send them as SMS saying that okay, there is an FMD outbreak. Please don't take your animals out. So this becomes the power of the data. So one requirement is that you should have a robust data which is being generated and captured in real time, and then you also have a robust system of data analysis. If you have only data and there is no analytical capability, you are not able to get benefit from the data. This is how we can track, we can calculate how many kilometers you have traveled. So the entire payment of traveling, the diesel charges, the petrol charges, everything becomes an online, and then it is so open that nobody can question it. Then marrying electronics and artificial intelligence. Now artificial intelligence, everybody knows, we had known one AI, that was artificial insemination, and now there is another AI which has come, which is going to bring a revolution, so which is artificial intelligence. Now artificial intelligence allows you to analyze big data in unbiased manner, because when I'm sitting with the data, I might have a lot of inherent bias in me, and therefore I would like to analyze and interpret data in a particular desired way which I desire. Whereas if I use artificial intelligence and machine learning and deep learning, all these are the processes which are being used in animal data analysis nowadays. You will be able to do lot of interpretation would become possible, and this interpretation will be away from the human. So I don't have to sit with data, extract the data, analyze the data. It keeps on doing, with trained analysis, it keeps on doing, in a continuous manner. So with machine learning, you can have health data automation. So now, because one of the problems which I face is you could have entire technology spread out, but if data is not coming, the entire infrastructure is of no use. And updating data is the most difficult part. It's very easy to tell me that AI technician will go capture the data, send data, farmer will enter the milk data, heat data. It is very difficult on the ground level, and therefore along with this infrastructure, one should also think of ways and means of capturing data automatically. And at least there are some physiological parameters, some health data which can be recorded automatically, so nobody has to really enter the data. So then the whole system becomes very strong and very active. So health automation, for example, there are animal variables. I'll describe few in my next slide. You can collect activity data, and this activity data then can be captured. But the basic problem is all these IoTs that are available have been developed by Western countries, and they have been developed for large farms where they can afford to have infrastructure. For example, they can have a network, they can have a booster antenna, so that from booster antenna the data is captured from animal. Booster antenna will boost it, and then it goes to the cloud server. From cloud server it will go to the farmer. So the whole infrastructure becomes very expensive. So what I have been doing since the last 5 years is roping in electronic companies here in the country, collaborating with them, and then having access to different kind of technologies that are coming up, talking to them and finding out feasible solutions which are for smallholders, so that I don't have to have a whole lot of infrastructure. So my basic requirement is my farm will not have any antenna, my farm will not have any booster antenna. I should be able to use my cell phone for capturing the data, and from that I should be able to send data to the server, and from server it should come back to the farmer. Number two, the device cost should be bare minimum, such that our poor farmer having one or two animals should also be able to afford, and these are all possible. Once you define that these are the criteria, we have got excellent brains who will sit and tell you what kind of technology should be used. This is one neckband which we have developed with one of the companies here in India. This is this is being used by an alternate technology which is called NB-IoT and narrowband IoT, and they are using the SIM card technology, the same kind of bandwidth, which is not being used for normal communication, but some saved bandwidth is being used, so that the data traffic from animal side is dedicated through a particular bandwidth, and then you don't have problems related with data transmission, because here bandwidth becomes important, and if you are spending more on bandwidth, then the whole project becomes very expensive. So this is one gadget which has come which is going to be launched. Because of COVID it is delayed, otherwise by this time it have been launched in India as well as in other countries. Now with this gadget you should be able to detect the activity, you should be able to detect the number of times animal has ruminated and has masticated, that is the rumination, number of time, number of duration or hours it has spent lying down, it has spent on feeding. So those kind of physiological parameters would be able to detect. Now the same device is also being converted into an ear tag device, so that the same animal identification device would also have a microchip of this particular gadget, and then you would have only one chip that will be attached to the animal, and it will be taking care of all these activities. There is another device which is coming up and that is going to be a device which will be recording body temperature of the animal. Now with body temperature you would be able to detect heat, because we know that during heat period the body temperature slightly goes up. So we have gone to a technology which should be able to detect the variation in body temperature by zero 0.1 degrees Fahrenheit, so that we should be able to detect, and then we should be able to detect animals that are sick, infected with high temperature, without farmers having to bother about and going to know whether the animal is really sick or not. So these are some of the devices which are which are coming up. Then as I told you that we also need to have electronic devices which will aid the remote diagnosis. So the vet who is sitting in his office accessing data should also be able to access some data of the animals observation. For example, with one of the Indian Institute of Technology, we have developed one stethoscope which is a telestethoscope, and the AI technician or the farmer, when he puts this stethoscope on the animal, the heart sound and the lung sound and the rumen sound can be transmitted to the vet. Then we have developed one gadget which can be attached to the cell phone, and then your cell phone becomes a microscope. So all you need to do is put your blood smear into that slot, and you will be able to have a blood smear examination, and this screen then can be sent to the vet who is sitting remotely. So if there is a trypanosome or if there is any other parasite, he will be able to detect. Same thing with estrus discharge. So all he needs to do to find out if this is the right time to breed the animal, he will just put take the slide, put one drop of estrus discharge. That slide is already having a cover slip which is attached with a slot to mount the material, and then he just put it into the gadget. The screen, the picture is generated on the screen. He just send it to the expert, who will sitting from there will examine and will tell the eye technician, yes, the fun pattern appears to be good, this is the right time for doing breeding. So these are lot of these gadgets are not rocket science, number one, and don't feel that we are doing something which is very very highly technological. These are some of the materials that are available out of shelf. All you need to do is go and shop and find out what is suitable to you and modify it. And therefore the buzzword here is collaboration. So if you collaborate with across the faculties, then it becomes very easy for you to develop these kind of things. This is this is another device which one of the universities developing for us. Of course there are such devices available in the international market, but those are very expensive. So we are looking for some kind of device which is not really thermal kind of device to find out what is the weight of the bird, but some other alternate mechanism where we can take the images of the birds, and then the images of the bird can be analyzed to find out the biomass, and by that we should be able to know the weight. So the so don't have to really get inside, catch the birds, weigh them. This weighing of the birds will become automatic. There are robots available which will give you which will measure the ammonia level, which will ambient temperature, humidity, all those kinds. So all those gadgets can be merged so that you have a bigger picture of analysis to understand why there is a problem. Is it associated with high ammonia? Is it associated with ambient temperature? What is the water intake? What is the feed intake? So all those kind of decisions can be taken. This is my final slide. Are we daydreaming? No. I think next 10 years, you will have a cow which will have wearables all over the body. There will be some wearables which will be inserted, like a insert into the rumen, which will be collecting the rumen pH data, sending it to the server, saying that there is acidity going up. That data, going to the feed ingredient, picking up those ingredients which are going to reduce acidity and bring about buffer. That message will go to the feed factory. The feed factory will manufacture similar kind of feed and will be delivered to the to the farmer. You will have devices which will be attached to the tail, which will detect the temperature as well as the movement of the tail, as well as also pick up the estrus discharge to give you signal that the animal is having discharge, because discharge, it is having a fun pattern, so probably it is in stress. You will have a gadget which will be attached to the udder, which will be able to tell you whether the udder is full, what is the somatic cell count. So all these are now possibilities, and therefore it is not daydreaming. And I hope that during my lifetime, many of these things come up in third world countries, in developing countries and underdeveloped countries, and we will be able to provide services to our farmers. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, sir, for your nice informative presentation. So this is time for discussion. So before going to plenary discussion, I would like to welcome Professor Dr. Nasrin Sultana Juena ma'am from Bangladesh Agricultural University. Uh, she has great experience on the use of assistant reproduction technologies in animal reproduction, like sperm sexing, embryo sexing, cryopreservation, and transfer reproductive surgery and reproductive ultrasonography. He also used to train the field veterinarians and dairy farmers, and he also developed a data recording book from his project, from her project. So welcome, ma'am. So before,
She's here.
sir,
She's
yes,
here. Tilak.
yes, sir. Already Joanna ma'am already joined with us.
She's not responding. Maybe you can shift to another person.
Okay, okay. So um, I would like to invite Dr. Farhat Hussain sir. Please share your comments on today's topic on the discussion. Dr. Farhat Hussain sir.
Thank you, Dilwar, and thank you, Dr. Rahman, Dr. Samad, for his nice presentation. Uh, Before going to comments, I like to say, in Bangladesh, we are now in very primitive stage for data recording. Now we are recording some things in a very rudimentary and preliminary stage. Some farmers nowadays, 1 or 2 years, they use some device for different data recording, but this uses is not suitable, not suitable for his farmers, but because there is a less, the veterinarian practicing vet in Bangladesh, especially in dairy farm management system. Most of the veterinarians are like to only treat the animal, but not managerial or different type of data management and practices is there. So I think this type of deliberation and lecture enlightened our vets, our farmers also in Bangladesh. I am also delighted his deliberation, and learn to data recording by different device also is there. So we are going a long way. We start to going long way for recording system. Without recording system, a dairy farm will not be profitable. And Dr. Samad also saying incorrect data collection is nothing to recording data. So our dairy farms is that is most of the record keeping is incorrectly they started. So I hope your presentation and different um, different recording system and devices also helpful for the farmers and also veterinarians. Thank you, Dr. Samad, for your nice presentation and deliberation according data collection. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Farhad. And I think uh, you are not starting late, because India has also just started it. I had to really
Okay.
fight for 10 years, for convincing the central government as well as the state government that data recording is important. And I remember in one of the meetings which took place some 12 years back, where I had given a scheme to Indian Council of Agricultural Research, for giving me 300,000 rupees for developing a system which can be used by the farmers. And I was ridiculed, saying that what the hell you are talking, computer and farmers, who is going to keep record, what is going to be there, I mean, all sorts of questions. And then finally one of the panelists who was sitting there sarcastically said that this is the reason why we should not send our professors to foreign countries, because they come up with all these weird ideas. That was the condition 10 years back. But now there is a national animal identification authority. Now they have realized that registering animals and data recording is important, and millions of budget is now allocated, and now it is coming. So, and the advantage of starting late is that you would be using technologies that are recent most. All those countries which have done in 80s and 90s are stuck, because changing the platform from one technology to another
অনুষ্ঠানে
technology.
আছি, আমি একটা লাইভ অনুষ্ঠানে আছি, শেষ করে আসবো।
Okay, so it's an advantage for you if you're starting late, so you can go for new technologies.
Thank you,
Thank,
Dr. Samad.
thank you, sir, for the nice conversation.
Thank
Now, I would like to invite Dr. and Shafiqur Rahman sir. Would you please add your comments on today's topic and discussion?
Thank you, Professor Dr. Abdul Samad. Actually, I would convey our thanks and gratitude because we see a lot of things regarding data recording. If I say the importance of data recording that you show, the record of a farm can bring us all invisible things as visible, just like a pilot or captain of the airplane. A pilot or a captain can't operate his plane without data, or if he or she could operate the airplane just seeing the sky, the plane must be crashed. So it's just like importance of the data. All invisible things bring us as a visible. So without data recording or without the information, we can't make our daily business as profitable.
Hmm.
Um, I think there might be some network problem.
Yes, he's disconnected.
So we have some questions. So maybe we can go for some question now.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, okay, sir. So there is a question is that if one if one cow is not coming heat, if one cow is not coming heat at this moment, how data recording help to solve the problem?
Okay. See, generally what happens, when we register the animal, its last heat date is recorded, or its last, calving date is recorded. And as you know that, there is a cycle of, 21 days, first heat after 30 days and every 21 day cycle. So even if animal is not heat, the, data will be processed and the SMS or notification will go to the farmer when it is expected to be in that window of heat, to tell him to go and observe the animal. Remember, data recording would not replace farmer. Data replacement will not replace the farmer's observation. It will also not replace the observation and the vets and the paravets. So they are going to be there. Data is there only to support them. That okay, instead of going to each animal, these are the two animals which are supposed to be in heat during this week, and therefore he has to be observant for those cows. If animal has been inseminated, then after 21 days plus minus 2 days, whatever you define, the farmer will get a notification to go and check the animal for non-return, or whether it has again come back in heat. After 60 days or 90 days, again the farmer will get a notification that this animal has not shown in heat but inseminated, say 70 days or 90 days earlier. Therefore, call your doctor for pregnancy test. And if there is an AI worker who is registered against that farmer, the notification will also go to the paravet or the vet saying that you need to go there and do the pregnancy examination. Once the pregnancy examination is done and the animal is confirmed pregnant, then the drying off, and then animal is coming in, calving period, steaming up period. So all these sequences, will be alerted to the farmer and the vet. So that is how the system will, help.
Sorry for interruption. Just electricity and the internet was gone a few minutes ago. So I come back again.
Sir, now you can continue, sir. You can continue.
Me?
Yes, sir. You can.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Abdul Samad. I would like to say the data recording system is very important for us in daily business. But as Dr. Farad sir said, we are in primitive stage, and actually, a country like Bangladesh, we need a comprehensive, holistic approach for data recording. and it should be user friendly. So our farmer and our stakeholder is not so much habituated with the IT base or software base, but some prominent farmers, proactive farmers, are very interested to keep data in a software base. But if we think about the whole country, our whole database should be in very in in short form. We can start for simple data, then we can expand day by day. So we need a comprehensive approach, and if Dr. Samad keep us a data recording system or software we have seen, especially the barcode system, it's comparatively lower price and cheap and user friendly maybe. And RFID and other software is not applicable in Bangladesh. From the government side, government is trying to adopt some strategy to invite the private sector to keep the data, as Professor said. So we are hopeful to keep the data that could be helpful for future data analysis as well as the development of the country. So thanks again, Professor Samat. We learned a lot about the data recording system in the different way. So we hopeful we will use some of the system from your side, and we can keep it as a customized position in Bangladesh. Thank you for your nice presentation and your deliberation. Thanks.
Thank you. I appreciate your remarks.
Thank you, sir, for your remarks. Now, I would like
I
to
ask a question, Dalal?
yes,
Samad,
yes,
sir?
sir. Please, sir. Please,
So
sir.
there is a comment from Dr. Shobikur Rahman. He is telling that there is two systems, the linear barcode system and the QR code system you are using. And he was telling that maybe he didn't get me. Okay, just wait. Just got some comments from him. Because Shobik was telling that the linear barcode system may be easier and the QR system is a bit difficult. So maybe he can comment on that. Sir, can you comment on that? The ear tag system, the linear barcode system and the QR system, which one is good and easier according to your experience?
The system which we have developed, the system which we have developed was for both linear barcode as well as QR code. You can scan both. The problem is that linear barcode, if there is a smart guy, he will copy the linear barcode. And we found this in a hard way, where there was a smart AI technician. He noted down all the identification number of the animal, generated a linear barcode on his computer, and he was scanning those linear barcode and entering data, and it was very difficult for us to understand. Number two, since linear barcode is linear, therefore scanning becomes slightly difficult. It gets delayed. So you have to really focus the linear barcode to read it. QR code, being square, is very easy to scan. Both technologies are very similar. It's a barcode only, and International Committee on Animal Record recognizes both can be used in the identification program. The new thing which we have inserted there is encryption, because we wanted that the data should not be fudged in any case. We should have a robust data. That's why we came up with the QR coded ear tag. The cost is same. I mean, there is no difference. The printing is same, cost is same, machine is same, plastic ear tag is same, everything is same, number is same. There is no difference in technology. I mean, as far as the costing is concerned, costing is same. Only thing, instead of linear barcode, we are going for QR code printing. That's the difference. You can use both. If you feel comfortable with linear barcode, fine. You can use linear barcode. But the app which you are using should be a scanner come data management system.
Got it.
You don't have
Sir,
to have another gadget to scan the linear barcode and then transfer the data from that reader into another gadget. So that becomes very difficult. Same is the case with RFID. So a lot of dairy companies, a lot of states are shifting to the QR coded tags now.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, Dr. Mizan Bhai, I wanted to say the QR code is best, but I just spoke on barcode, but not linear barcode. As I seen in the presentation, a QR code is best. QR code is better than the linear barcode. So QR code already is started. Some company in Bangladesh like ACI, they are using the QR code for their breeding data. So I agree with Professor Abdul Samad. So QR code is best, and it will be suitable for Bangladesh. Thank you.
So I have another question to Shobik Bhai. So we know that you are working on the American dairy, and it is a good, I think, dairy farm, well developed, and they have very good system. So who is the recording system you are using at this moment
Okay,
in American
thank
dairy?
you. You have already visited the American dairy. You have seen the system. So we have the separate software. It's especially for the American dairy, produced by both of livestock knowledge and computer knowledge. Computer engineering is there. So we have a software. So everyday data we are collecting from the farm as a document. I mean written paper, and some data is collecting automatically from the milking parlor, and all the data we input every day with the operator in the system. So at present we don't have any barcode or QR code. We have only the animal identification. We have a ear tag printing machine, a blank ear tag, so we can replace one because sometimes tag are missing. So that is why we use manually at this moment. But we have a plan to convert it with a automated real-time data system very soon. Because of the COVID, we have already booked from a Greece company. They will collect from other countries with reputation, good reputation. So we are converting it to the automation in future and in shortly. Thank you.
Okay, Dilo, thank you. Now you can proceed with the Malik Omar Bhai.
Okay, sir. Now I'd like to invite Malik Omar Bhai. So I hope he will share his thoughts on the basis of his long time farming experience. Now Malik Omar Bhai.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Malik Muhammad Omar. Actually, I'm in farming since last 28 years, and I'm recording all the data in my farm since last 26 since 1994. Is 26 years, and I've got all the records of the cows since 1994. And there are some cows in my farm which is 15th generation in my farm, and I think it's very important because due to inbreeding, we actually there is a huge loss, and breed selection. There are in our country actually in some moment is when I started farming in 1994, 1994 to 2007 or 8, the milk production of the cow in our crossbred cows with random insemination in our country, it was gradually going upwards. But after a while, I found that since 1997, since 2007 or 8, it's become steady, and after 2010, some are declined. There are so many confusing results. When we rear a heifer calf for 3 years. It's about it needs take time for 9 months in the mother's belly, then 14 to 18 months to grow up, then pregnant, then extra 9 months. It's about 3.5 years. And after that, we found that some are giving 9 liters, 10 liters, 7 liters, and some are giving 15 liters. We can keep them in our commercial farms. Some are giving 22 to 25 liters. But the result shocked us. Actually, when you rear an animal for 3.5 years and you get only 9 liters of milk, and that's not suitable for commercial farming, and you have to sell it to the butcher. So I focused on my previous records, and I found that the Sahiwal Friesian crossbreed actually performed well in my farm. And after, when Sahiwal Friesian was out of our stock, Sahiwal Friesian bulls, then the production. So everything you can find from your record, your hard book record, everything. In my farm, our recording system is one record book that's cows, pedigree, and all the details of the cow, vaccine, deworming, everything was recorded. And we follow a checklist, the 4-page checklist for every day, and all the works of the farm are recorded in that checklist. Our farm manager just tick it, and after just review that which one is left for that day. Then milk record, I've got the milk record from since 1994, and it's very important because last year, on request of Shane Khoda, Mr. Shane Khoda, scientific officer, our central cattle breeding station, I actually assessed some of our cows, and some report shocked me. Some cows in my farm that are giving in first lactation 17 to 18 liter milk, but the total is only 1700. And some cows giving 15 liter milk, but the total is that's around 3000 liters. So which one we prefer? The pick 18 liter and 17 liter in a year, or pick 15 liter, 3000 liter in a year? So if you don't keep your milk record, you cannot find that animal, which animal is giving peak milk, but totally in a year she is giving less milk. Then we actually keep our AI register, confirmed pregnancy register, and accounts register like that. But I think it's very important. And I am presently involved with our breed testing research project, which is a research project of 125 farmers all around Bangladesh. And we already actually ordered tags, and that's consists of number and QR code system combined. I think that would help our farmers to grow up as Professor Samad actually advised that, and I think that would help us. And so recording is most important for our farmers. And I'm telling some Bangla for my fellow farmers. এখানে রেকর্ড কিপিংটা খুবই জরুরি। আপনারা প্লিজ সবাই রেকর্ড করবেন, কারণ আমি নিজে গত বছর আমার ফার্মের রেকর্ড অ্যানালাইসিস করতে গিয়ে খুবই শকড হয়েছি। দেখলাম যে আমার দুইটা গাভী, এগুলার বাবা ছিল BND 22 নামে একটা বুল, এইটার পিক মিল্ক ছিল 1800 লিটার, কিন্তু দেখা গেল যে তার টোটাল এক বছরের দুধ হলো 1700 লিটার বা 1740 লিটার। আবার আরেকটা কম দুধের গরু পাইছিলাম আমার ফার্মে, এটা 14.5-15 লিটার দিছে, এটার বাবা ছিল SLN12 3736। এই গরুটা দেখা গেল যে হাইয়েস্ট 15 লিটার উঠছে একদিন, নরমালি 14-14.5, কিন্তু সে এক ল্যাকটেশনে 300 দিনে দুধ দিছে 3000 লিটার। আমাদের জন্য কোনটা ভালো? আমরা কিন্তু ওই যে যেটা 18 লিটার দিছে ওরে 14 লিটারের চেয়ে বেশি ভালো মনে করি, কিন্তু প্র্যাকটিক্যালি দেখা গেলো যে কি অলমোস্ট ডাবল দুধ দিচ্ছে। তা আমরা এই জিনিসগুলো যদি রেকর্ড না রাখি তাইলে কিন্তু এগুলা বের করতে পারবো না। খামারি ভাইরা এখনো সময় আছে, আমরা কিন্তু অনেক দেরি করে ফেলছি। দয়া করে আপনারা খুব শীঘ্রই রেকর্ড রাখা শুরু করেন, সময় দেখে অ্যানালাইসিস করে খুব দ্রুত আপনারা এগুলার বাইর করতে পারবেন।
ধন্যবাদ মানিক
ধন্যবাদ।
ওমর ভাই আপনাকে
থ্যাংক ইউ,
আপনার
থ্যাংক
সুন্দর
ইউ।
সাজেশনের জন্য।
দ্যাটস এন্ড।
হ্যাঁ, thank you so much. Now I would like to invite our one Professor Dr. Joanna ma'am from Bangladesh Agricultural University. He has already developed a data recording book and always encourage dairy farmers to maintain the data recording book. So I request ma'am to share your comments on today's topics and presentation. Ma'am.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Professor Abdul Samad, nice to meet you again. I hope you are well. And Dr. Farhad Hussain, sir, hope you are well. Omar Malik Bhai, and Dr. Muhammad Shafiqur Rahman, and the organizer, Professor Dr. Mizanur Rahman, dear fellow Dr. Delar Hussain. Sorry, Delar, I could not pick up your phone, but I remember that we have to join.
It's okay.
Thank you. It is a very, very burning issues all over the world, not in the Bangladesh. Professor Abdul Samad is very rightly mentioned here that what we want to do. I just here mention some normal data in respect of my country. In Bangladesh at present, there are 1.4 million dairy farms. I can say this is the cattle farm. I cannot say that this is the dairy farm. This is the cattle farms, and most around 80% of these farms belongs to the smallholder farmers who have 1, 2, 3. And very important thing is that we are forgetting one important thing, that our farmer levels gap, just like a farmer like Umar Malik Bhai, very few. Then if I say that middle holder farmers, it is a quite dense amount, and then very large number belongs to as a smallholder farmer. And what I surprised that our data recording system should be started from the below to upper. If I say like this, the smallholder farmers, and then upper medium holder farmers, and then the gorgeous commercial farmers. But what is happening in the present situation in Bangladesh, this data recording system or the system that we are trying to set up started from the high commercial farmers to the smallholder farmers. This is the I think I cannot comment like this that it is a long error, but it is a questionable startup in consideration to my smallholder farmers number. So I know there are some already techniques in our Google app, in YouTube. Our farmers always visiting this YouTube, but they are not our policymaker, not are wandering on our smallholder farmers. Dr. Delwar said, yes, I have prepared a hard record book. It was after my 5 years research in the field that I understood that now I have to give some things, not that thing that who made it. The thing is that it should work. It should work. And very important thing is that in any way it should work. And until now, I have distributed near about 3,000 hard book in different. My book is mainly concentrated on the smallholder farmers, because and also my milk production is growing up from my smallholder farmers. So what we have to show, that you have said that hard book is not a replacement of a farmer, not a replacement of the labor. Hard book is her accessories that must help him. our farmers are not getting this thing, that it is a help book. Some farmer using some e-record system, they think that it is a symbol of his awareness, it is a symbol of his gratitude, but this is not the right way that we are presenting that we have to maintain a record book. In my view, and according to Dr. Samat, I know I am familiar with Indian system, although you are trying for the last 5 years to set up a data set that you have mentioned in the several years. What I am thinking, our government should start a generalized way, how it can, we have to link veterinary surgeon, livestock service provider, farmers, and in a one circle, that one livestock officer and LSPS go one farmer house. If he records the farmer farms in his data system, when a veterinary doctor will visit his house and just take the name, put the name of the farmer, he will get all these results. And in the same way, the LSPS does not have time to write or record this data for the farmer or also for him. My veterinarians are so busy, they don't have the time to write only this, and farmers are always very busy, they don't have time to write something. So I think in e-record system should be coordinated in all aspects. If one area, anybody, whoever he is, a veterinary surgeon, if a farmer registered his name or her farm name on the data system or enter data system, it will go all this system. It is just a national database, and when a farmer just click the name, he will get automatic in his system, it will come that, oh, he has this type of animal, this type of animal, this type of animal. It also reduce the burden of time to record the data. And also, if any LSPS see that, or AI technician see that, oh, in the record system you have not included your name, or I'm not finding your name, he just record on behalf of the farmer. Because we must have to address our smallholder farmers in this data recording system, and it is a large number of smallholder farmers. And if only we think a few population for a system development, I think it will not work. It will not work. Thank you. It is a very important system, and from 1971, artificial insemination is going on. It has been continuing in Bangladesh in different way, but we don't have any precise data. We don't have any bit. Dr. Malik Umar Bhai was telling that his Frisian and Shahiwal cross breed is working very well. Yes, it is the true in Bangladesh that Frisian and Shahiwal cross, even Frisian and Jersey cross is doing very good. But unfortunately, any of the breeding station is not responding to the demand of farmers, because all in the breeding policy we have to maintain 50% breeding light level, but we don't have a bull semen that from collected from a bit 50%. So there is a very in similarities in our data system, but we have to think this way. Yes, anybody can ask him that it is not possible as a country like Bangladesh to start in all together, but Bangladesh needs now to start together, because our system, the system gap is very large. To fill up this gap, we have to start in a integrated way to continuous data system. I think Dr. Abdul Samad has well mentioned that it is a coordinated action from the all aspect of the policy maker, from the farmers to a higher level of the administration. So I think if we continue our efforts to encourage our farmers, today and tomorrow, it must work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your nice comment. So we have some questions. So I think it's a long time. Maybe I leave the floor to Dr. Mizanur Rahman for concluding for conclusion remarks.
Yeah, Jalal, if there is important question, you can ask Dr. Samad sir.
Oh, yeah. There is a question is that how can we analyze and interpret the data, and who will take the responsibility? Yeah.
Will
How
take the
can we
responsibility.
analyze and interpret the data, and who will take the responsibility?
Okay. See, most of these systems have integrated data analytical capability, and the data analysis takes place automatically when the data is updated. The algorithm which is written for data analysis are quite standard, and they are all tested and validated. So therefore, as far as the analytics is concerned, I mean, there is absolutely no room for any error, because computers don't make errors. Once if the milk record is for the lactation is being computed properly for one cow, and it is there in the algorithm, it will be computed for all the cows. So there is not going to be any difference. So as the accuracy of analysis is concerned, it depends on what is the analytical algorithm you have used. If that is correct, data analysis is going to be correct. Now, interpretation has to be done by the vet, but some kind of interpretation is also built in from artificial intelligence. See, for example, in our system, what we have done, you can generate a list of animals that are going to calve in the month of, say, February, March, April. So you have a forecasting model. If you are interested in finding out how much milk is going to be produced 15 days in the farm, you will be able to analyze data, and the system will tell you, okay, this is the milk you are likely to be producing, plus minus some error margin will be there. So that kind of thing is there. But as far as interpretation is concerned, well, it is the doctor's responsibility, the vet's responsibility to be responsible, because ultimately data is only helping you. The final decision whether to accept the data, whether to accept what has been supported by the data, or go by a different version, it all depends on the manager and the practicing veterinarian. And going back to ma'am's observation, I think you should not go for a system where the farmers have to enter data, then it is going to fail. Okay. Therefore, in our system, farmers don't feed any data. No. Farmers don't keep any data, because most of the decisions for smallhold farmers are being taken by the paravet and the vet. So they listen to him.
Yes.
So he doesn't have to bother. All he will need is SMS notification, or simple Bangla in Bengali SMS notification. You do this thing with this animal today. Do this thing with this animal today. That's it. And the paravet also says he is not very learned fellow, so he will only get things which he is mandated to do, and he will be guided. Okay, these are the animals in these villages you have to visit for this. These are the animals you have to do that. And then it is the vet who would get all the data collected, and then he will analyze and know how many animals are beyond 120 days, how many animals are not bred, how many animals are bred but they are not coming in heat, how many are should be dried off. All those kind of reports he can generate, and he can take actions accordingly, visit and examine the animal for fertility and other things. So this is how the entire system works in smallhold.
Thank you.
Number two, when AI technician is entering data, nobody has to write anything. Everything is there on the combo box. He has to just pick up. All sire inventories is there, all the possible entries are there. He has to just pick up. He doesn't have to type anything. So we have left no room for typing, so there are no errors in typing also. And then the system should be available even in local language, so that the farmers and the paravets and other technicians will be able to make use of it. So these are all requirements of a good data recording system. And I would suggest that rather than see, going to individual farmer and motivating them to start data recording is very difficult option. The best option is you go to milk processor who is collecting milk from them, and then motivate them that you will have traceability of farmers as well as animals. Otherwise, right now he is in black box. He doesn't know from where he is collecting milk. Who are the animals? What are the animals? What drug is being used? What is their condition? Who is the farmer? So all that becomes very visible to him. So starting point could be milk processor, so that he gets the data of his farmers in analyzed manner, forecasting. If he's providing services, he gets all the tracking and traceability of services, liquid nitrogen, how much is being used, and they make a lot of money. So all those companies which have invested in this, they are already saying that they have made 10 times more than what they have already invested in it by precise management of resources like semen, liquid nitrogen, medicines, no pilferages. So all these things count a lot of money to companies, and they can stop pilferages.
Thank you, sir, for your nice answer. Now I would like to invite Professor Dr. Mizanur Rahman for concluding remarks.
Sir, Assalamu alaikum. I will not do any conclusion remarks, but rather I will ask questions. And
Okay, sir,
this
you
question
can.
we can finish.
Okay, sir.
So, sir, you are talking about the data recording authority in India. The authority is Indian government or some private company or the the farmers association? Who are the authority of the data recording in India? Sir, you are muted, sir.
In India, it is National Dairy Development Board.
Oh, okay, it's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Whereas in other countries, it is the Department of Agriculture or Department of Animal Husbandry, which is the national authority on animal data recording.
Okay, thank you, sir. So we have two responsible person here from DLS, Dr. Faradus and Dr. Sofikur Rahman. I think they can convey the message that I think so far I know in DLS we don't have any data recording authority, so they can convey the message. The DLS can think about it. Also, there is the Dairy Farmers Association member, so they can think about it.
And come up with a policy.
Can I ask a question here?
Dairy Development Board going to develop by a ministry. Already LDDB Prakalpa will be established. This already land is chosen in Sabar area for Dairy Development Board to establish.
Yes, sir. We don't need the land so much. We need the people to work. I think DLS already so many people, so it is the time to take the decision.
And my suggestion, Dr. Mizan, suggestion would be, we made a mistake making National Dairy Development Board as the national authority. Because of that, they are only focusing on dairy animal. Whereas you also need data recording and traceability for sheep, goat, and other animals. So that gets neglected. So my suggestion would be, you should Department of Animal Husbandry, or whatever you call Department of Livestock Resources, that should be the national authority. And the first thing they should start is write to all the animal ear tag suppliers that hereafter they will be using the unique ID numbers which will be given by the department for Bangladesh. That should be the first step.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Sir, you are showing some pictures in your presentation that you are using using a cell phone for diagnostic services. It is already in the field in India.
I'm testing it in the field now, and then it should be available soon.
Okay, so thank you very much. So now the critical question, sir. I think for the data regarding, the big thing is that to motivate the farmers. So how you overcome this situation in India for motivating the farmers?
You see, the biggest motivation for the farmer is here, wherever we have worked, is that he's getting it free. He is not spending money on it. So he said, I don't mind. Number two, he is not going to enter any data. He says, fine, there is no issue. The motivation factor for him is when he starts getting SMS notifications. Then he becomes very alert that, okay, now I'm participating in the management. I'm getting all the required information. And number two, when we tell him that, once you have all these records, and if you want to sell your animal, then we will give you a digital certificate of its performance. So the value of your animal will go up, because the one who is buying will be buying along with data and not in doubt. So that becomes a motivating factor for him.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So, when you started working on the recording of the animal, how was the reaction of the field veterinarian or the field people who are working, livestock people in the field?
Very negative.
Very negative. So how so how we can motivate them, sir? The people in Bangladesh, those who are working in the field, because it is a problem. We realize that it is a problem.
And
To
the
motivate
problem,
them.
and we talk of all the benefits of all these digital systems and data recording. One of the limit, I wouldn't call it limitation, but one of the problem and constraint is that it also brings transparency, and transparency is not liked, and that is why there is always a lot of resentment. Second thing is, there was one company where we it's not a company, it was a government only. We gave them the system. They wanted to use it for recording treatment to start with, and initially they said, from their data they said that they are treating around, they had some 250 vets, and everybody was treating 15 to 18 cases daily. 15 to 18 cases daily. That was the treatment and medicine being used. They implemented the system and found out, with all the tracking and scanning, that the average treatment was only 1.5 to 2. So all other data was cooked up.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. You showed also that our tele-veterinary service.
So the
Sir.
authority, authority has to exercise his authority. Most of the places where this system is implemented, they follow no pay, no work, no pay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. You're talking about the tele-veterinary service. So, I think do you think that this tele-veterinary service is going to replace the field veterinarian? So how they are going to accept it?
No, they won't replace veterinarians. On the contrary, at least in India, I know the vets are becoming redundant, as far as dairy animal is concerned.
Yeah.
Because they are all sitting at the block level, and farmers require treatment at the farm door where vets are not able to go. So they are all slowly being replaced by diploma holders and technicians. So what we are proposing here is that, because of this televeterinary, they will be able to participate now in diagnosis as a team, with paravets and vets. So there, and then for surgeries and for advanced diagnosis and examination, the vet has to move. It's not that you are totally, replacing the vet. For surgeries, vet will have to go. But a lot of expertise. Somebody is sitting, say, in India, who is an expert. Somebody sitting in Australia who is an expert. If you want to get a referral from them, you don't expect him to travel all the way to Bangladesh. Okay, so so the telemetry will be serving a better penetration of the government vets, even if they are sitting, in their hospital, in the Upzilla. They will be able to now monitor what the AI technicians are doing. If they are having problem in diagnosis, they will be able to help them out. And where the visit is necessary, they will be able to visit. So I'm making vets now more relevant to the dairy practice rather than making them redundant.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. I have another questions. Sometimes we have different discussion on different issues. So, do you think that this for the recording, for the data recording, we can, as in Bangladesh, we are just starting or thinking to start. Can I do some especially in the household level? Can we make some model farms so that our other people can be can be motivated by seeing this. What do you think?
I mean, you're right. That should be the approach. But the benefits of data recording is not really appreciated by farmers. Even 2 years back I visited USA, and I had gone to one of the dairy herd association, and they were telling me that now the farmers in USA, only 20% farmers are interested in data. They're not interested in data. So the interest of the farmers in data will always remain minimal. Okay, the interest has to be shown by the milk processors, by the feed companies, by the pharmaceutical companies and the government departments. They should be, they are the one who are going to be the major beneficiary of the data. Although farmer is going to be benefit, but he is not going to appreciate what benefit he is getting out of it, because they are not really a business person. Small holder is not a business person who is accounting what is the input and what is the output. So the only time he realizes that the data has helped him is that when he is getting good fertility in his farm and when he's selling his animal. So I would suggest that if you can motivate a dairy processor, cooperative or a private milk processor, and ask him to start, say, in a catchment area where there are 500 farmers. Start there, so that may be more convincing to farmers as well as to a larger audience.
Thank you, sir. I think we are almost at the end. It is going to be 2 hours now. So, sir, just a request. After finishing this program, can you talk for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, then everybody will leave. Me, I myself, you and Delor can stay here, so we can discuss. So, Delor, I think we finished. I thank you very much, sir, for your time and presentation. I think it is a difficult issue. It is a difficult issue to understand it, and it is not easy to accept by all the people. But I think at the end it will, all the people will get benefited, and I hope the people who are here who are motivated to accept it. But the people who are watching the program, I hope they will also be motivated to accept it day by day. So thank you very much, sir, and thanks for others to join here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.